Hey everyone, Vortex here, and today I'm going to talk about the origin of the Downfall timeline and what could have created it. Many fans consider the existence of the Downfall timeline to be rather unexplained and frankly even unnecessary. After all, in order for the Downfall timeline to even exist, Link had to die during his quest, and that is something many of us have issues with accepting. So I delved a little deeper into the question how the Downfall timeline could have been created. How, why and when did Link fall to Ganondorf? There are multiple answers to this question, but I think only one of them has the potential to be the closest to the truth as we can get. But let's start with the most obvious possibility, as theories with the least amount of assumptions are usually better. It is possible for Link to die any time during the game, when you lose all of your hearts and get a game over. While this is a rather lackluster answer to why Link is able to canonically die, it is possible. This, however, implies that any Link is able to die anytime during any game, and thus it's possible that the Zelda universe harbors millions of what-if scenarios. Since Link is destined to always triumph, as he is being controlled by the player, it seems there was a distinct reason he was killed. A second possibility presents itself during the first meeting between Ganondorf and Link. Some fans have pointed out that Link could have possibly died during this moment. While Link is seen preparing for impact during the adult timeline, he might not have done so in the Downfall timeline. This theory, however, ignores the passage in Hyrule Historia, and this is pretty much the only information that we have, which is that it claims that Link died during the final battle against Ganondorf, in the presence of Zelda and the sages. So there remains the last most likely scenario. This one delves a little further into speculation, but it does fill the blanks left by Hyrule Historia, and it combines it what we do know. The final possibility is related to Zelda and her ability to have prophecies about the future. Based on what we know from Ocarina of Time, these prophecies are very symbolic and apparently not taken too seriously by the royal family. Zelda, when she first meets Link, tells him that she saw him and Navi in a dream where a boy came from the forest carrying a spiritual stone. Zelda also reveals that she knows that Ganondorf is evil, because in her dreams he is symbolized by dark ominous clouds. Because of this prophecy, Zelda knows that she and Link are chosen by destiny to stop Ganondorf from obtaining the Triforce and ruling Hyrule. This single dream is the sole reason why Link and Zelda are able to embark on their journey through time. But what if the prophecy originally never happened? In this theory, the prophecy of Zelda is the reason the split in timelines occurred. Someone attempted to rewrite history and pursue better results. We know from Ocarina of Time that Zelda is capable of doing this. She sent Link back in time in order for him to prevent Ganondorf from ever rising, with, as a result, him getting his childhood back as well. Zelda shows tremendous guilt for being the one gifted with the Triforce of Wisdom, yet her lack of wisdom having been the reason Ganondorf was able to emerge in the first place. So in order to make up for it, she sent Link back with knowledge of the future in order to change the past. This same principle of rewriting history was performed during the Downfall timeline. In the original timeline, the still unified timeline, Link embarks on his journey after having been told by the Great Deku Tree that he should visit Princess Zelda. This part of the timeline remains the same in every single branch. But when Link finally arrives at the castle and meets Zelda, she does not know why he is here. She never had any prophetic dreams and thus does not realize who is standing before her. And because she never had the dreams, she did not recognize the evil in Ganondorf's eyes either. Link is thus sent away, not knowing how to proceed, as neither Impa or Zelda can help him any further. Link does, however, know of the existence of the spiritual stones and that they are important. He spends the next few days, weeks and months looking for the remaining stones. There is a problem though. The room leading to Darunia and the waterfall blocking Zora's domain are both locked to anyone but a messenger of the royal family. Since Zelda nor Impa realized who Link was, they never allowed him to learn Zelda's lullaby. Link is therefore doomed to fail from the start. While he was searching the land for the stones, the royal family is betrayed by Ganondorf and Zelda and Impa attempt to flee. Zelda taking the treasure of the royal family with her, which is the Ocarina of Time, hoping to keep it out of Ganondorf's hands. With Link unable to retrieve the spiritual stones or the Ocarina of Time, he's never able to break the seal on the door of time. Link is thus forced to go into hiding, keeping tabs on Ganondorf at all times as he figures out a way to stop the evil king. 7 long years pass, and eventually Ganondorf and his band of thieves manage to find both Zelda and a way around the seal, negating the need of the spiritual stones. This coincides with the backstory given in A Link to the Past. One day, quite by accident, a gate to the golden land of the Triforce was opened by a gang of thieves skilled in the black arts. This land was like no other. In the gathering twilight, the Triforce shone from its resting place high above the world. In a long-running battle, the leader of the thieves fought his way past his followers in a lust for the golden power. But this was not yet the end of Hyrule. Ganondorf's heart was imbalanced, causing the Triforce to split into three. Each piece went to the person who valued that virtue the most. Link received courage, Zelda received wisdom, and Ganondorf received power. Emboldened by this newly acquired power, Link made an attempt to stop Ganondorf from conquering Hyrule. However, without the aid of the Master Sword or the trials that should have made him a hero, Link is quickly defeated. His Triforce of Courage and Zelda's Triforce of Wisdom are seized and reunited with the Triforce of Power. Ganondorf was now able to make his wish. To prevent this from happening, Zelda and the Ancient Sages sealed Ganon in the Sacred Realm as a final resort. These sages were the Ancient Sages also seen in Twilight Princess. They are not the sages as seen in the adult timeline, namely Saria, Darunia, Ruto, Impa, and Nabaru. Link in the Downfall timeline never awoke the new sages, as he was not even aware of their existence. He never had the chance to meet Rauru in the Sacred Realm because he simply never went there. This means that the Ancient Sages had to act in their stead. They were also the ones responsible for sealing the Sacred Realm many years later in the Imprisoning War. Proof for this is quite numerous in A Link Between Worlds. During the beginning of the game, you can view various paintings telling the story of the Imprisoning War and A Link to the Past. The sages in these paintings are referred to as the Seven Sages of Legend, and they're depicted as being humans. This also explains why there appear to be two sets of sages in the Downfall timeline, the Hylian maidens from A Link to the Past and the racially diverse sages from A Link Between Worlds. The seven maidens in A Link to the Past were captured because they were the only ones who could undo the seal cast on Ganondorf by their ancestors. They are not considered sages, but simply descendants of sages bearing a fraction of their power. The seven sages from A Link Between Worlds are direct descendants of the unawakened sages from Ocarina of Time. Sages only take up the role of being a sage after being awakened during a time they're required. At times of peace, there are no sages, only those who could become them if evil overtakes Hyrule. If that happens, the Sacred Realm calls to those who are destined to become sages. Usually the role of a sage is contained within a lineage. This lineage can be spiritual or within a bloodline. Sahasrara in A Link Between Worlds even says, "I shall head home to search my library for clues to who the other seven sages of our day might be." So, since Rauru is part of both sets of sages, he has descendants in both sets as well. And since Zelda in A Link Between Worlds is not considered a sage, the Sage of Time is one of her relatives instead. So let's start connecting the dots. The seven sages from Ocarina of Time are Rauru, Saria, Darunia, Ruto, Impa, Nabaru, and Zelda. And the ones from A Link Between Worlds are Osfala, Gully, Rosso, Auron, Impa, Irene, and Ceres. Auron, the Queen of the Zoras, appears to be a direct descendant from Ruto, the Princess of the Zora from Ocarina of Time. She, however, is a River Zora and not a Sea Zora like Ruto is. As I mentioned in my Great Bay Temple theory, it is possible that the appearance of the Zora depends on the quality of the water. Clean and fresh water would lead to the prosperity of the Sea Zora, while polluted and murky water creates the appearance of the River Zora. The state of Hyrule is in decline during the Downfall timeline, and the state of its waters are no exception. This illustrates why the River Zora are primarily found in the Downfall timeline. Irene is more difficult to relate to the sages. Considering her abilities in witchcraft and magic, she seems to be intended to be related to the Gerudo and their affinity with spirits and magic. This would make her a descendant of Nabaru. However, she lacks the distinct Gerudo red hair, amber eyes, and tanned skin. Gerudo genealogy has always been a bit of a mystery, but it seems that the features of the Gerudo appear to be very dominant. This means that, regardless of who the father is, the child will always be Gerudo. It, however, remains possible that there are children born without the obvious Gerudo features. For all we know, that already is the case within the Ocarina of Time Gerudo society. All children lacking Gerudo features could have been abandoned or killed. This would imply that people like Telma could have potential Gerudo ancestry. Next up is Impa, and as her name implies, she is a direct descendant of Impa from Ocarina of Time, making her the Sage of Shadow. It seems that the Sheik are still somewhat alive in the Downfall timeline, but their numbers are still very, very low. Impa is one of the few sages already aware of her duties as a sage, likely because she is able to sense destiny much like her ancestor was. Seeing as Impa has always been viewed as a wise and kind lady, not many people are surprised to know that Impa has been chosen to be the sage of that era. Rosso, as the descendant of Darunia and linked to Goron, possesses the abilities of the Sage of Fire. A link between worlds suggests with the existence of Rosso that intermingling between races might be possible, as Rosso appears both Goron and Hylian. He has the distinct eyes and lips of a Goron and bears their tribal mark, yet he has Hylian ears. He mentions at some point that he was aware that he was a sage. He says, "I've known for a long time that I was a sage. Never told anyone though. It wasn't really a secret, I was just too busy mining all the time to mention it." This means Rosso became aware of his bloodline's destiny on his own, and he was not told by relatives. Which makes sense, as neither the Goron nor the Hylians would know of the sagehood bloodline in the first place. Gully has all the characteristics of a Kokiri, but he's considered Hylian. It might be possible that he's a spiritual descendant of Saria. As we know from Ocarina of Time and the Wind Waker, the shape of the Kokiri is altered depending on their current needs. After the imprisoning war, the Kokiri were changed to blend in with the Hylians. They no longer had to be children, since the Hero of Time was no longer among them. This makes Gully not a direct descendant of Saria, but instead a spiritual one, just like Makar and Fado from the Wind Waker. Some evidence for this can be found with the lumberjacks from A Link to the Past. Their looks are strikingly similar to the Kokiri, including their Japanese name, the Kikori, meaning lumberjack. These lumberjacks are also found near the Lost Woods. They might simply be the inspiration for the Kokiri, but I find it an interesting parallel nonetheless. Now we arrive at the two sages related to Zelda's bloodline, Ceres and Osvala. It is quite interesting that it's only mention of these two sages that they are direct descendants of the original 7 sages, namely the ancient sage Rauru. As I mentioned in my Temple of Time theory, I believe Rauru to be part of Hyrule's royal family, meaning he and Zelda are related. Now Osvala appears to be the one descended directly from the Sage of Light Rauru. Interestingly, Osvala is also the apprentice of Sahasrahla, who is said to be the descendant of the sages who placed the seal on Ganondorf, implying a potential connection here as well. Like his ancestor Rauru, Osvala wears a large sage robe and he wears his hair in a ponytail. He also bears the mark of the Triforce on his robe, just like Rauru. Ceres, however, appears to be more distantly related. Since Zelda is no longer considered a sage in the Link Between Worlds, it is possible that the duties of sagehood were passed on to Ceres' lineage instead. Ceres would thus be part of the royal family, but not in the main branch like Zelda is. Both Osvala and Ceres are treated like descendants of the original 7 sages, insinuating a closer link to Rauru instead. A Link Between Worlds is not mentioned in Hyrule Historia since it was released after the book was published, so all of this remains speculation. And now back to the timeline. I hope you're still able to follow me. While the banishing of Ganondorf was a success, Zelda and the sages also sealed the Triforce with him. It wasn't until after the events of A Link to the Past that the Triforce once again rested within the hands of Hyrule's royal family. Peace was restored to the lands. For now. As mentioned in Hyrule Historia, when the Kingdom of Hyrule reached the Golden Era, they were able to use the Triforce to preserve order in the land. The rulers used the power of the Triforce to help the kingdom expand and flourish. But this golden era did not last forever. Evil once again attacked the land, and over the long centuries, Hyrule was in decline. During the times of Adventure of Link and The Legend of Zelda, the Kingdom of Hyrule had declined and remained but a shadow of its former self. While this land is once again saved by a new Link, Hyrule and its surrounding lands remain destroyed. I suspect it's around this time that the newly awakened Princess Zelda decides to use the Triforce of Wisdom to attempt to fix the past, so her timeline of pain and sorrow could never come to fruition. She had been put asleep during Hyrule's prosperous times and awoke in its ruins. She prayed to the Triforce to punish Ganondorf before he could rise to power, and his wish did not go unanswered. Using the power of wisdom, knowledge of the future was sent back to the past. This information took the shape of the legends of the Hero of Time passed down by the Sheikah and prophetic dreams given to Zelda's ancestors. These ancestors held all the keys to changing the future of Hyrule, but, unbeknownst to all, changing fate held unforeseen consequences. At first, Princess Zelda's plan seemed successful. The Zelda from the Ocarina of Time era was haunted by foreboding dreams and warnings. The Zelda was able to see the evil hiding behind Ganondorf's intentions. She also realized that the boy in green was the hero that would save Hyrule. In order to help Link, she told him of all the legends passed down among her family, and she instructed her caretaker Impa to aid him as well. Her plan seemed to work, but this Zelda did not know that fate had been changed elsewhere. Link carried out his quest as he was told and eventually stood in front of the pedestal of time. But as he drew the sword, he was kept sealed in the sacred realm for 7 long years. And here comes the first indication that time has been tinkered with. Link, in the adult timeline, is kept sealed in the sacred realm when he takes the Master Sword until he reaches a certain age, But why? As we see in The Wind Waker and plenty of other Zelda games, age is not related to being worthy of wielding the Master Sword, but this specific incarnation of Hylia's chosen hero is bound by this principle. Why is that? As seen in the Downfall timeline, as an unexperienced child, the hero of time would always fall to the King of Evil. Link had not yet proven himself to be a hero, and he had not mastered his skills through hard work, namely awakening the 7 sages. Due to the wish made to the Triforce, Rauru was informed of the fate of the hero of time. In order to prevent Link from dying a premature death, Rauru sealed Link away until he was old enough to be the hero of time. He also watched Link's progress as the Alcapora Gabora. Rauru wanted to ensure that the hero of time would be able to go through all the trials that would make him a hero, as his prophetic dream showed Link's demise if he didn't protect the young hero. During those 7 long years, Ganondorf came to power and transformed the once green hills of Hyrule into a desolate land, devoid of life. The 7 sages that were to be awakened were sealed in their own temple, waiting to be freed. This time, however, Link knew of their existence and how to free them. With the aid of Zelda, the Master Sword, and the newly awakened sages, Link was finally able to banish Ganondorf to the Sacred Realm. While the intentions of saving Hyrule were good, history would prove to simply repeat itself. The adult timeline, the one that was supposed to have been Hyrule's saving grace, saw greater destruction than the Downfall timeline ever did. Centuries after Ganondorf was banished, he broke free, wreaking havoc upon Hyrule. The dangers posed by Ganondorf were so great that the gods themselves had to flood the land. Despite all of Zelda's efforts, Hyrule was still destroyed. In short, the Downfall timeline can be considered the original timeline. Due to a wish made to the Triforce to prevent Ganondorf from obtaining the full Triforce, history is changed and instead the adult timeline is born. The adult timeline was supposed to be prosperous due to the defeat of Ganondorf, but in the end, it fared even worse than the Downfall timeline. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and if you like this video, check out some of my other Zelda stuff.